Hi, my name is Christi Harp, and this is my data overview for ITEC 7305 for Ola Middle School. The purpose of this data overview is to review school enrollment data, review school demographic data, review school mobility rate, review school attendance data, feature 8th grade mathematics data, identify strengths and weaknesses found in the data, and the suggestions for next steps. The data source I will be using are the milestone scores from 2015-16, 2014 and 15, and the CRCT scores from 2013-14 and 2012-13, along with our CCRPI data. While you're watching this presentation, the questions I'd like you to think about are: what are our strengths in 8th grade mathematics? What are our weaknesses in 8th grade math? Is there an achievement gap with any of the subgroups? How can the data team use this information to improve instructional strategies? So to begin with, for the last 4 years, we have had our enrollment was 1,075 in 2012-13, 1,134 in 2013-14, 1,159 in 2014-15, and 1,156 in 2015-16. So you can see it's been increasing over the years. Let's see right here, our males and our females, it appears that for the most part we have more males than females, but then in this year right here we have more females than males. And down here you can see the chart of our enrollment data for the past 4 years. Here are some pie graphs that deal with our enrollment data by race and ethnicity. Here, if you go from 2012-13, you see we have the majority of the students at Ola Middle are white, and followed by black students, Hispanic, and multiracial. So if you look here from 2012 to 13, you can see the population is going up every year. And if you go from 2013-14 down here to 2014-15, you can see the population also went up a little bit. And then over here at the last 2015-16, it stayed the same as the year before. And here's another chart of the past 4 years of our enrollment data by race, ethnicity. Here is a chart of our attendance data by gender. So I have it divided into areas with people with 5 or fewer absences, people with 6 to 15 absences, or people with over 15 absences. And over here on the left, you have the male students here, and then on the right, you have the female students. So you can see we have a lot of students in this category here with the 5 or fewer, and we have a lot also with females. Let's see, here we have also a lot with 6 to 15, which is not a very good area to be. So it appears that we have less in the 15 or more absences. Okay, so I know this is a lot right here, but we've got the same chart that I just showed, except broken down by race, ethnicity, and this is for the past 4 years at our school. So if you look at the colors here, this light purple, the first one is the most recent year, 2015-16. The dark purple is the 2014-15. Then we have 2013-14 and 2012-13. And the first 3 are black students, the next 3 are white, the next 3 are Hispanic, and the next 3 are multiracial. And these are the percentages. So you have the percentages of students who have 5 or less absences, which here, the black students, the white students, Hispanic, multiracial, and then you have students with 6 to 15 absences, right here, here, and here, and here. And then you have students with 15 or more absences, which is here, here, and here, and here. And you can see that there are a lot of students that are in that category with 5 or less absences, and then also a lot in that second category with 6 to 15. And here is a breakdown of the past 4 years of students that we had in the ELL students. which are English language learners, special ed students or students with disabilities, and gifted students. So you can see here we have a very small population of ELL students. In this first year we had 0. The next year we had 0.2%, 0.1, and 0.2%. And let's see. So we have a large population. Well, we have about, this year we had 15.4% of special ed students. The next year is 14.8, 14.7, and 15. So it has kind of remained just about the same for the past 4 years. Then we have our gifted students. We have 18.7, 21.4, 21.8, and 19. So that has kind of been about the same. Here's some more demographic information about Ola Middle School. Our mobility rate for the past 4 years. If you look at 2012-13, you have 11. Then it goes down to 10.7. It goes down a lot there to 8.1, and then goes up a little bit to 9.6. And then we have our percentage of ELL students. So you can see that number is very low. We didn't even have any of them in 2012-13. Okay, for teacher data, we have a total of 71 teachers at Ola Middle School, and out of these 71 teachers, 63 are white, 7 are black, and there's 1 Hispanic. Over here we have broken down by gender. It's a majority female staff. We have 55 females and 16 males. Then down here on the bottom we have it broken down by experience. Our first year teachers, we have 5 of those. Teachers with less than 5 years experience, we have 8 of those. Teachers with 6 to 10 years experience, that's 30, so that's a big part of our staff right here. And then more than 10 years, we have 10 teachers, and then more than 15 years, that's 18 teachers right here. So you can see the teacher experience is a strength at our school. Okay. So now we're going to get into the area that I'm focusing on. That is our 8th grade math milestones. And this is the most recent year, 2016. We have had 319 students take the milestones. And you can see here we've got 13.5 level 1s, 54.2% level 2s, 30.4% level 3s, and 1.9% level 4s. So you can see the majority of our students are hanging out here in the level 2s. And while we have some level 3s, we do not have many level 4s. Now here is a comparison of the same milestones that I just showed you by gender. So the light purple are our males, and the dark purple are females. So you can see here we've got our level 1s. The males have more level 1s. They're at 16%, and the females are at 10. Level 2s are pretty close. You still have a little tiny bit more, 3% difference in the males and the females. Level 3s, you can see the females are stronger in this. We've got 26.4% males making a level 3 and 34.6% of females. So that's a pretty big difference. And then in the level 4s over here, which is the highest score, we have more females than males also. But that's not a very large percent of the 8th grade right there. But you can see there's a slight difference in the performance of the males and females. The next thing, I have the same year, 2016, broken down by race ethnicity, and this is on the 8th grade math milestones. So the total number of students that took this test is 319. So if you look here, the black students are light purple, white students are dark purple, and the Hispanic this orange color. So for our level 1s, we have 15.6% of the black students, 11.9 white students, and 19% of the Hispanics. So you can see the Hispanics are a little bit higher in the 1s. The next thing, we have the level 2, which again is the majority of most of the students, the 8th grade taking the milestones are getting 2s here. You have they're close, the black and the Hispanic students, and the white students are also at 51. Then over here, level 3s, you have 25% black, 33.9% white, and 23.8% Hispanic. So you have a little bit of a gap here between the achievement of the white students and Hispanic and black students. And then level 4, you have 1.6% black, 2.3% white, and 0% of Hispanic students making a 4. So we still don't have many of the 8th grade over here in the 4s, but you can see from what we do have, it's a little bit of a gap there. Okay, this is the 2016 milestone scores broken down. This shows, this is the math 8th grade milestones, and it shows how the students at Ola Middle did versus the students in Georgia, Henry County. And then I'm also going to highlight an area of the economically disadvantaged students. So the students in Georgia, you see their level 1s versus Henry County's level 1s and our level 1s. So if we just look at this third line right here, which is Ola Middle, you can see that this is good that our students are doing better than the district and the state as far as level 1s. And then if you look at level 2s, which you see a lot of the people in the state of Georgia and the county are at level 2s here. Our school has more students making 2s than also Henry County in general and the state of Georgia. Then if you look over here at level 3s, our school looks like it is very strong in this area too. You have 30% versus the county, which is 21.8, and versus the state, which is 26. So it looks like the county is lower than the state in that, but the school is higher than both of them. And then over here, if you look at level 4s, this looks like the strongest one would be the state of Georgia, followed by the county, and then our school down here. So that's something that needs improvement. But now I want to talk about the economically disadvantaged students at our school. So I compared their results to the results at Ola Middle and the county and the state. And you can see that they did not do as well as the rest of the students at Ola Middle. But they did a little bit slightly better than the students in Henry County and Georgia. Then if you go over here to the level 2s, you can see that the economically disadvantaged students are just about the same, like tied. There's not much of a difference there at our school, and they are stronger there than the county and the state. Then if you go to the level 3s, there is a big difference here. The economically disadvantaged students are lower than the other students at our school, and they are a little bit higher than the county, but also lower than the state. Then if you go over here to the level 4s, they are lower. The economically disadvantaged students are lower than all the state, Henry County, and Ola Middle School. And here's a comparison a little more clearly about the economically disadvantaged students versus the other students at our schools that are not considered economically disadvantaged. So you have here a difference in, you have the beginners, which is the level 1. There is a difference here. You have more students that are economically disadvantaged, 24% versus 13. And then the next thing, you have the level 2s. That's about the same. There's not much of a difference there. Then when you go to level 3s, you see this, which is proficient. The students that are economically disadvantaged are not doing as well as the rest of the students at our school. And let's see, if you go to the level 4s, it's also the same. The economically disadvantaged students are slightly lower than the rest. Okay, and here we're going to go over the milestone scores for the year before, so you can get an idea of that. This is 2014-15. So we've got the state of Georgia, the district, Henry County, Ola Middle, and then the economically disadvantaged students. So that you can see that the state of Georgia is the Henry County is the purple one. The state of Georgia is the light purple. Ola Middle is the dark orange, and the economically disadvantaged is this other type of orange right here. You can see the majority of the students are in level 2, and there's not much difference here between R2, the Ola Middle, and the economically disadvantaged in 2, but you also have more 1s right here from the economically disadvantaged students, and over here in 4s you have a lot less. The next subgroup I want to talk about are students with disabilities or special ed students. We had in our just most recent 2016 milestones, there were 44 students in the 8th grade that were considered students with disabilities. And here's a breakdown of how those 44 students did. You see the majority, it's tied here, are either level 1s or level 2. You've got exactly the same amount of students that did 1 or 2. And then over here you have very few that made a 3, which is proficient, and 0 that made a 4. So you can see this is an area that needs improvement. Now I'm going to compare the students with disabilities, their achievement on the milestones versus the students without disabilities. So if you look here, this light purple is students that are not considered special ed or students without disabilities right here. And then the column that's the dark purple are the students with disabilities. So if you look at the beginner level 1s, there's a very big difference here where you have 47%, so almost half of the students that are special ed scoring a 1, and then 13% of the other students. If you go over here to level 2s, you see it's very close. A lot of the students are getting 2s here, so that number's a little bit closer. But then if you go to the 3s, you have only 4.5% of those 44 students making a 3, whereas the rest of the students that are not special ed, that's 30% of them making a 3. And then you have over here 0 students that made a 4, and not so many regular ed students that made a 4 either. Okay, so to review everything on the achievement data that I wanted to share with you, I believe our areas of strength on the 2016 math milestones is that we are higher at Ola Middle School than the state and district average. That's on 3s. And another strength at our school is that our teachers have been at our school for a very long time. Some of the teachers have been there since the school opened, and then others have been teaching in other schools, but they have a great amount of experience teaching. 58 out of the 71 teachers have been teaching for 6 or more years. 28 of the 71 teachers have been teaching for at least 11 years. Our areas of weakness, there's an achievement gap between the students with disabilities and the students without disabilities. If you look at the level 1s, you can see the students with disabilities got 47% level 1s versus the 13% of students without disabilities. Level 2s, 47.7% versus 54.2%. Level 3s, 4.5% versus 30.4%. And level 4, 0% versus 1%. The next area of weakness is there's an achievement gap between students who are economically disadvantaged and students who are not economically disadvantaged. You can see that on the 8th grade math milestones from 2016, the economically disadvantaged students versus the non-economically disadvantaged. You have 21.2% versus 13.5% making level 1, 54.4% versus 54.2% making level 2, which is almost exactly the same. But then on your level 3s, you have 23.9% versus 30.4% making level 3s, and on level 4s you have 0.9% versus 1.9%. So some discussion questions that I have for you. How can the data team work to improve the achievement gap between economically disadvantaged students, students with disabilities, and the rest of the students? What changes in instructional strategies could be made to better serve the students with disabilities? What about the economically disadvantaged students? How can teachers use student data to close the achievement gaps? What school-wide strategies or programs are we using to improve the learning of students with disabilities? How can we use the data from these strategies and programs to determine if they are working? The next steps I have for you. For the 8th grade math and special ed math teachers, discuss the questions from the previous slide. Write down your own questions and responses and share these with the data team. For the leadership team, provide training for math teachers and their co-teachers on how to work together in a co-teaching environment. For the leadership and data teams, Evaluate our current instructional focus remedial classes for math. Evaluate the programs they use, which is ST Math, to see if it is working. For the social worker, graduation coach, and data team, evaluate what programs we have in place to support economically disadvantaged students academically. Cross-reference the data of the economically disadvantaged students and the students with disability students to see which kids make both subgroups and how they can better be served academically. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation.